Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a good night. This is Dr. Stephen Walker, licensed psychologist. I'm doing my mental health live stream every Tuesday and Thursday night. We broadcast on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. So if you're online now, live catching this, please share this. Please talk about your mental health, your mental illness. Remember, we all have a degree of mental health and mental illness. Nothing to be ashamed of. If you're not ashamed of any other mental illness, or any other physical illness you have, there's no reason to be ashamed of any mental illness, because we all have a degree of mental illness, and we all have a degree of relationship illness. And we're going to be talking about how to manage relationship negativity. But again, remember, I start with a topic and then we move into questions and comments. And if somebody has something on their mind that they want to talk about, please ask a question and make a comment. Just a quick note, please remember to check out my fund. This is, I call it helpahuman.org. It's a fund I've set up through one of the fundraising sites you can donate and help somebody who may need some therapy who can't afford it. And I get dozens of requests from people who can't afford either their health insurance or they have lost their job. And it's heartbreaking to people like me. And I have other colleagues who hopefully, if the fund grows enough, I can help facilitate paying for some sessions for some people who need help. So it's called helpahuman.org. You can check it out, donate what you can, and it goes 100% goes to helping somebody. I've already used I think we've gotten about $160 in. I've already used that already to help people offset some of their costs. So please, if you can donate, please consider doing that. So let's talk a little bit about relationship negativity, okay? Remember, you have to ask questions and make comments to make this live stream work. This isn't a podcast where I record it, edit it, gloss it all up. This is live, so I'm getting questions and comments live. So please interact with me if there's something on your mind, if somebody's struggling with something out there and they need a little time. Hey, Juan, how are you? Please ask a question or make a comment, because again, this is my attempt to normalize conversations about mental health and mental illness so that maybe we could have more of an enlightened society where we're all talking about the stuff that's on our mind, that we all have, that we don't talk about, and that we're ashamed to talk about because of this ridiculous mental health stigma that is just keeping us back from evolving as a society. People are struggling out there. They're keeping these emotions and thoughts inside of them. It's not only ruining their peace of mind, but it's ruining their relationships, and it's causing a lot of mayhem in our society. So let's talk a little bit about relationship negativity. We all have it. My wife and I, we've been married many years now. We have our occasional blow up. It's part of being in a relationship. You know, you have two very strong-willed people in a relationship sometimes, and somebody's not in the mood for this, somebody's not in the mood for that, and boom. So let's talk about a couple of the key. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Please ask a question or make a comment. Remember, if you're struggling with something in your relationship or something in your mind and you want to engage with a mental health professional, here I am, okay? Here I am. So before I get started, though, I want to give a big shout out to Kim Alima, who did a great live stream with me Thursday night. Please check that out if you haven't. This is her website. It was great on EMDR. Enlightened me on a lot of things I didn't really know about EMDR. I'm actually thinking about doing a training to add to my toolbox. But if anyone's interested in EMDR, if anyone has questions about EMDR, that's Kim's website. You can go directly to her. And speaking of which, if you're catching this on YouTube, or if you're catching this after I post it, there's tons of other content out there, okay, on my page. So some going back 5 years ago, I took a little 4-year hiatus while my 5-year-old son now was born, and now I'm back trying to do these twice a week. But there's tons of content out there. Please subscribe. Please set your notifications and when I go live. But the main thing is subscribe and hit the notification. Okay, very important, because that helps us get the videos up higher so that people watch them. And again, remember, this is only about helping to try to normalize conversations about mental health and mental illness, because we don't talk about it. We're ashamed of it. We suffer in silence for years. The next thing we know, we're in our 40s and 50s, wondering what the hell, how the hell did I get here? And don't use that word. Sorry, I keep remembering my 5-year-old sitting right here, so I have to mind my language. We don't use that word, right, buddy? Seb, we don't use that word, right? Okay, good. So let's get into it a little bit. How to manage relationship negativity. So we all have negativity in our relationship, and there's a lot of social media mental health out there that's saying things like, oh, if there's any negativity in a relationship, that's a red flag and get rid of it and it shouldn't be there and run for the hills. The most inane, ridiculous thing I've ever heard when I see something, some of the posts out there about negativity and the way people relate to it. First off, negativity is part of everything we do. Positivity is part of everything we do. Neutrality is part of everything we do. That just happens to be the three energies in the universe, and they pervade everything we do because we're a collection of atoms, and those are the three energies in the atom. So, but let's talk about how to manage relationship negativity. So one of the main things, and this live stream tonight was inspired by a session I had today with an individual who has recently gotten involved with a former best friend, and the individual and the person thought it would be a good idea to take the relationship to another level. And there have been some issues relating to communication and expectations and finger pointing. So I was thinking that this might be something that a lot of people struggle with. So let's talk a little bit about the idea of what happens when there's conflict in a relationship, okay? A lot of people think that if there's any conflict in a relationship, and I did a whole live stream about managing conflict in a relationship earlier. If you want to check it out, I'm going to do a little, a little addition to that. But conflict in a relationship is inherent in the relationship. Why is that? Because they're two conflicted, usually deeply, complicated individuals with trauma from their past trying to make a relationship work. And they run into problems, and they crop up in the form of arguments, and then they don't know. No one talks about them. Things will bubble up. If you're lucky, people will calm down. But then on this side of the bubble down, nobody's talking about it. And I hear this all the time from couples who I work with. They say, "Well, we don't want to stir things up." The problem with that strategy, people, is nothing gets solved. If you don't, I always use this metaphor, you got to stir up the ingredients in a cake or a dish you're making in order to make them all blend together and work well and taste good. But it's how we stir things up, okay? The main advice I give to people when I'm working is setting up rules that govern processing the relationship after the blow up. And I'm going to get to your questions and comments, so please ask a question, make a comment. I will get to as many as I can. You've got to process the negativity after the fact. You've got to set up situations where each person knows, look, if we're going to hit the tap out button, then we have to re-engage. And that's another rule to set up. Everyone knows that, look, if we just chill out right now, if we go to our neutral corners, we're going to talk about this after the fact. But this isn't what a lot of people are doing, which gets to the other point about this, what I call relationship laziness. And I hate to point the finger at my gender, but the majority of it is men who don't want to deal with things, men who are lazy, men who don't want to own their mistakes. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, well, he never apologizes. He never talks about what's on his mind. He goes either from no emotion to volcano. Okay? So if you're in a relationship and you're a man and you're not apologizing for the pain you're causing people around you, and you're expecting people to either forgive and forget or just get over it or let it go, or why are you still being bothered by that? I guarantee you your partner is not happy. And I'm not saying it's only men. Women have their own emotional bluntedness, so to speak. But in general, most men, like myself, learned from other men, don't talk about how you feel. I've got no apologies to make, is what I heard in my house growing up. No, I got no apologies to make. So I had to learn a new way of interpersonally relating when I got into relationships. And one of the main things I learned was stop finger pointing. Stop pointing the finger at the it's you. Oh, man, my nail's dirty. Sorry about that. But that's one of the main things that affect relationship negativity is people point the finger at the other person. What I heard, what I've heard in a lot of times in conflicted relationships is one of the members of the relationship will say, "Well, if you just listen to what I said, to what I told you to do, everything would be fine. If you just did what I told you to do or did what I said, that would be fine." That's kind of like you hear from a lot of abusive people in law enforcement. Well, there'd be no police brutality if people just listened to police officers and did everything we said. Well, that would be ideal, of course, if you were in a relationship where the other person just did everything you said or complied completely. But that's not going to happen. And if you're expecting to be in a relationship and operate as though you're single, then you're going to have conflict in the relationship. You're going to continue to have relationship conflict and relationship negativity. Okay, so let's recap. One of the first things to do, process the argument after you've had the argument. Talk about it. Set that up. Have a discussion. Discuss with your partner. Okay, so listen, what are we going to do if we have arguments? What are we going to do if we have disagreements? Talk about that. Most people have this idea that they'll have a disagreement and it's, like I said before, and it's a sign that the relationship is bad. It's something you shouldn't be in, which just perpetuates this idea that eliminating negativity is possible. It's not possible, people. You're never going to eliminate negativity out of your life. And the reason you see YouTubers and podcasters and people who have no mental health training talking about studies, and man, I was watching Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly just dropped so many false things that she was saying, claiming there were studies, and there's no studies about what she's talking about. But the key is you've got to talk about the negativity. You've got to assume there's going to be negativity in the relationship. Now, if there's too much negativity, if there's a lot of physical, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, that's a whole different story. Those are things that you have to say to yourself, well, is it realistic that that can even be worked on? So that's the first part. Set up situations where you talk about negativity, where you process negativity, where then you're expecting at some point to have disagreements, okay? Second part that we talked about, finger pointing. This idea that you should be, it's your fault. That's always your fault. It's not my fault. There would be no problems in this relationship if you just did what I said, okay? That's second mistake people make is we don't own our issues. We don't own our part. We don't apologize. We have to apologize. Remember, even if you feel you're wrong, I'm not saying apologize and say you're right and I'm wrong if you don't feel you're wrong. Apologize for the pain you've caused. It goes a long way. I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings when I said what I said, but I still believe that whatever my point is, and discuss it. Okay? So that's the second piece. Own it. Stop pointing fingers. The third piece, like I talked about, those two. The third piece is what I call relationship laziness. Relationship laziness. Deal with it. Get your mind out of this idea of, oh God, I got to deal with her or him. I got to deal with I don't want to deal with this. I don't. People, you're in a relationship, okay? It takes work. Like I've always said to people for 25 years now, compatibility takes work. You have to work at being compatible. It would be all great and good if everybody was just completely compatible. And somebody once said, if two people are exactly the same, one person isn't needed. you got to work at not being lazy in a relationship. And again, I don't want to point the finger because I said not to, but I don't want to, what's that? Yeah, I don't want to point the finger at men, but men a lot of times are responsible for a lot of the problems in a relationship because they learned how to be in a relationship from their father, or they learn how to be in a relationship from their mother and father, and they're not questioning, well, wait a minute, is that really good? Is that really good? Some people think, oh, my mother and father never fought. And guess what? If you never saw your mother and father fight or argue or have any disagreement, you're going to have problems in your relationship. Why? Your current relationship. Why? You never saw two people argue and get over it. You never saw two people argue and then process it out and work it through. You're expecting that in another relationship. And unless you magically find somebody you never have conflict with, you're going to have to learn how to have conflict. So we're getting some good comments here. I'm going to go through it. Please ask a question or say or make a comment. Please remember, these mental health live streams are for you to talk about your mental illness. If you have something off the topic, feel free. If you're feeling suicidal, if you're feeling depressed, if you're in the middle of this pandemic and you're just feeling hopeless, talk about it, engage with me, engage with other people who are on live. This is why I'm doing this, okay? So stop being so damn lazy in the relationship. Stop being lazy. Work on the issues in the relationship. If your partner is saying, I have a problem with XYZ addiction you have, or I have a problem with you working too much, and you just shine that off and don't act like that isn't going to go away, people. That isn't going to go away, because what's going to happen is that person is going to continue to try to talk to you or get some empathy from you, and they're not going to get it from you. So guess what's going to happen when you need some empathy? And it's not tit for tat. It's not even a conscious thing. We tend as human beings to give what we get. We tend to give what we get, okay? So we have to work on our relationship. If your feedback is, and I'll talk directly to a lot of my fellow brothers out there, if your wife, if your girlfriend, if you're in a relationship and there's lack of sexual contact, okay, and you're not talking about that, and you're not finding out why she feels that way, I don't know if you guys have heard that old adage in this field that says a lot of women need the emotions to connect with the man sexually, and a lot of men need the sexual contact to connect with their emotions. If you're in a relationship where you're stuck in that cycle and you guys aren't talking about it, openly discussing what's going on, it ain't going to change. It's not going to magically go away just because you're not dealing with it. People have this idea, especially men have this idea that they have to fix how their wives or girlfriends feel. Okay. And again, this applies into homosexual relationships too. If there's one person who's more dominant or one person's more submissive, or both people are submissive, both are dominant, whatever it may be. But in generally speaking, that you've got to be able to discuss how you're both feeling. If you're not discussing how people are feeling and expecting it to magically go away, it's not going to go away. If there are sexual issues in your relationship and you guys aren't like, what's going on there? I wonder, we should talk about that. It's not going to magically go away, people. You've got to discuss it. But the problem is, a lot of times people don't know how to discuss it. And like I was saying a second ago, men have a tendency to want to fix things. We want to fix, and I fall into this too a lot of times. And my wife will gently remind me, I'm not looking for a solution. I just need you to hear me out and be empathetic. And that's a good reminder for me. But I was working with a female teenager when I was doing my residency internship in Oregon at a community mental health facility. Shout out to Morrison Morrison Child and Family Services. Great organization. If you're in Portland, Oregon, I had a great period of time there. But anyway, and this teenage girl said, I'll never forget it. I always relay this to parents with their working with conflicted teenager. My mom is always trying to pull me out of the hole I'm in. She's always trying to pull me out of that. And sometimes I need her just to get into the hole with me. I just need her to be in there with me. And men, we fall into that. We're biologically wired. Through tens of thousands of years of evolution and genetics, we seem to be, hunter-gatherer. We want to fix it. We want to provide a lot of times. But the problem is a lot of times women aren't looking for that. They're not looking for a solution. They're looking for somebody to just be there and hold their emotions. That's why a lot of women get together and they talk and cry and they outlive us. Why? Because they're talking about how they think and feel. So if you're in a relationship and there's a lot of negativity, you guys aren't talking with each other, you're not connecting, there's no sexual contact, you don't do anything, there's no intimacy. And I don't just mean sexual intimacy, I mean holding hands, snuggling, kissing each other, just flirting with each other. And you guys aren't talking about that, it ain't gonna just magically get better. Okay, so I'm going to get to some questions and comments here, but the main thing that I want anybody watching this either live or after the fact is to accept that negativity is part of a relationship. You should expect to have problems and conflict. Now, I don't mean like looking for it, but you shouldn't be, oh my God, I can't. Now, again, remember, when we talk about negativity, there are degrees of negativity. I mean, if you guys are physically assaulting each other and punching and there's bruising and domestic violence, that's a whole different level. Those are the kind of things that are upper levels of trauma that need triage, immediate kind of, what are we doing? And I'm talking about that low grade, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 level of arguing that a lot of people, that bickering, they're just, they're snide, mean comments at each other. That is the kind of negativity you should expect to have in a relationship. I mean, if you and your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, if you guys burn pretty passionately sexually, there's a lot of that chemistry, that kind of raw animal chemistry that a lot of couples have. You should expect that it's going to burn brightly in the negative too, and you should be ready for that. There's nothing wrong with having negativity in a relationship as long as you've got tools to process it. And that's where somebody like me or other mental health people, licensed mental health people, will come in. They'll help you get to the problems. You'll work through some of the issues in the relationship from a position of, it's okay that we have these, but let's work them through. Okay. So let's get to some more questions. I have more on this. I can keep going, but I want to just address a few questions. And again, if you have any questions about what if you want to take exception to something I said and you want to debate about it and talk about it, please feel free. I'm always open to feedback. I had another snide comment. I don't get many, but the ones I do, I like to keep them up and respond to them so that people can understand that they're people with some issues. I won't call this person out by name, although I should, but you can check out my Facebook page, and he's taking exception to the fact that, guess what, people, Facebook we have to pay Facebook to promote our pages, or they're going to get lost so people don't realize that on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, if you're seeing an ad and it's promoted, that costs us money. So I'll read it. Unless you want me to pay me a fee for exposing blah, 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 get the F off my page. I'll leave that up. Anyone wants to, engage with that gentleman, please feel free. But guess what, people? There wouldn't be a Facebook. There wouldn't be a YouTube. There wouldn't be a Twitter without advertisers. There would be subscriptions. You'd have to pay to use the service. So when you rail against advertisers, please remember, we're making the platform possible, okay? So let's see. Kat is saying, hey, Kat, how are you? Hello, Doc. I'll be away for the foreseeable future. My mom passed. Oh, wow. Kat, sorry to hear that. Kat is a longtime viewer of our live stream. She's been very open with her dissociative identity disorder struggles from early childhood trauma. Sorry to hear that, Kat. I don't know how close you guys were, but it sounds like, I hope you're going to be talking through whatever feelings are getting stirred up. I know there was some conflict there, with how the trauma went down. So we feel for you, sister, but please try to keep us updated on what's going on. And you can always send me some private messages if you need to. So we're really sorry to hear about your mom passing. Juan is saying, yeah, my fam don't talk about dysfunction. My wife, sis, has a lot of issues that created dysfunction that I wish they would help her with. She's now older and very shut off. Yeah, it sounds like, wife's sister may have some trauma going on there, Juan. I don't know if she's ever worked on it. I'm not saying, you should work with her on it, but yeah, that's what happens is somebody in the family has issues. They're not being dealt with. It gets a whole bunch of other people drawn in. And then the next thing you know, you got people polarized and not talking to each other. And then, all kinds of negativity. And remember, negativity is not something that should be a sign of anything other than something needs to be healed. Something needs to be worked on. If you look at negativity like pain in your body, if you had a pain in your body and it didn't go away, obviously you need to pay some attention to it, because that's your body going, hello, but it's the same thing. But see, because we have this culture, we have this mental health, non-trained, unlicensed individuals telling you, oh, just let it go. Just let go of it. Oh, you surround yourself only with positive people. And you know why they tell you that, people? Because they don't have a clue how to deal with negativity. They don't have a clue how to help people work through negativity. Well, guess what? There's a whole bunch of people trained in this field and licensed who know how to help people work through negativity. Seek them out. Seek out their books. Seek out their podcasts. When you're listening to a podcast, ask yourself, why am I taking mental health advice from this person? Where did they get it? Oh, they probably stole it from somebody like me or somebody else who's a psychologist, somebody who's trained in the field, and they've used it in a way. Maybe they're good writers or they're charismatic speakers, but ask yourself where you're getting this advice, people, because a lot of times all you're feeling is people bleeding all over everyone, thinking, well, if I figured out how to cure my tooth, I can help you with that. If I figured out how to work on my depression by ignoring it and acting like it's not there and crumpling it up and throwing it away, that'll help you. Ridiculous. So Juan, yeah, I would encourage you to see if you can connect with her at any level and see if she can work on that. Okay. So Jennifer's saying, consoling with Kat, great. How do you talk about this? Juan is saying, how do you talk about dysfunction when family has different belief systems? Well, that would be the first thing I talk about, are the belief systems. The first thing I would discuss is the dysfunction, not dysfunction first, but the different belief systems, and trying to find common ground with that, trying to find a way to talk about, hey, I'm a conservative and I believe that Donald Trump or whoever, the Republican Party, is the best and all liberals should be eliminated. You're a liberal, right? Let's talk about that. Discuss that. Find common ground and then move into the dysfunction. Talk about the dysfunction after you've found some common ground with the person. We seem to have fallen into this idea that my opponent is my enemy that needs to be owned and destroyed, instead of, hey, what's going on? Why do you believe that? So try to find common ground. Juan is saying, Angie's saying, consoling with Kat. Thanks, Angie. Angie, good to see you back here. I know you went through a little bit of trauma there. Stirring things up makes black sheep in the family. I hear you. That's how you stir it up, though, Juan. You can stir it up by, hey, you mother blankers, you're all about. Oh, that's one way. Or, hey, can we all talk about some things? Can we figure out a way to talk about things so that we can get some peace in our family? We can find a way to communicate. That's what I would recommend. You can stir things. You can put all the ingredients to make a cake on your counter, and then you can just go. You like that? That was very professional, huh? But anyway, or you can add the ingredients together and stir them up in a way that makes the cake. You can constructively stir things up, my brother, okay? Angie's saying, how much does it affect kids when parents have virtually no positive relationship with each other? They still live in the same house. Well, Angie, we've talked about this. You know what my answer is going to be. It is affecting them. They're learning how relationships are. I would talk to them and discuss with them. Look, just because mommy and dad, my son, I talk to him all the time that when he sees an occasional argument or negativity or anger in our house, I'm reminding him all the time, just because Papa's like that. That's what he calls me, Papa, and I love it. But it doesn't mean, hey, buddy, it doesn't mean you have to be like that. And I explain it to him at 5 years old that I didn't have a father that took me aside and said, hey, little Stevie, just because you're seeing your father going crazy and acting and drinking and doing a lot of dysfunctional things doesn't mean you have to. You can make your own decisions. Nobody came and told me that. Nobody gave me some perspective. So Angie, take your kids aside and tell them, look, mom and dad's relationship is really not that good, and you can see it, but that doesn't mean you can't find a better relationship. That doesn't mean you can't find somebody who you can be in love with and have a better relationship with. Talk to them, ask them, hey, how is mom and dad's virtually having no positive relationship with each other affecting you? How does that affect you? Talk to your kids, especially if they're older. I'm already talking to my 5-year-old, giving him ideas on how to manage pain, negativity, anger, how to manage his impulses, because they kids can grasp it. Okay, so Angie, I hope that helped. Great, we're getting a lot of people consoling. Kat, beautiful. Hey, Jennifer saying it's super difficult to be working on yourself and recognizing your part, place, and things, admitting to it and what you are going to do to rectify it moving forward, and having a significant other that thinks you are full of psychobabble and are trying to gaslight them with your honesty. Yeah, I hear you, sister. And gaslighting is the new cool thing to be talking about. Everyone's gaslighting everybody. Supposedly, but Jennifer, let's break that down a little bit. It's super difficult to be working on yourself and recognizing your part and place in things, admitting to it and what you're going to do to rectify it moving forward. And when you have a significant other that thinks you're full of psychobabble and are trying to gaslight them with your honesty, well, I would, my advice to you, Jennifer, is you need to talk with that significant other about the second part of your question, not question or comment, meaning that you guys should have a discussion about, so you think I'm full of psychobabble? What's going on with that? I don't want to fight. I just want to, that's come up a couple times. So what do you mean? You think what is psychobabble? What are you talking about? Have a discussion about them. You think I'm trying to gaslight you? I'm being too honest. Maybe, I don't know, Jennifer, maybe you believe in brutal honesty. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying maybe you do. Maybe the way you're being honest. I personally, I don't believe brutal honesty is a good strategy in most situations. There are a few outlying situations where a little brutal honesty can help. And, in our field, we call it reality therapy. But brutal honesty, in my opinion, is the most simple form of honesty. Brutal honesty, a child can be brutally honest, okay? I like compassionate honesty, okay? I'm going to be honest with this person, but I'm going to realize that they're a human being with feelings and emotions. And again, Jennifer, I am not saying you're a brutally honest person. I'm not accusing you of that. I'm saying that if your honesty is coming at them and they're thinking you're gaslighting them or they're shutting down, you guys should have a discussion about what you texted me. And maybe what you posted as a comment. Maybe you have, I don't know. So fill me in. But I would focus on flushing out this idea that you're just full of psychobabble and you're trying to gaslight them with honesty. You guys should have a conversation about that. Okay. Pete, great advice. Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Casey is saying, I hear you loud and clear. I'm taking your advice and real life facts on negativity, but applying it in my family relationship. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Cassie. I hope it helps. Again, remember, don't charge for these, just trying to do what I can to help the greater good. So if you have any follow-ups, please hit me up. Don't worry about asking too many questions. I love interacting with people. So great to hear. Thanks for that feedback. It's why I do it. That's what you just paid me for tonight. Thank you. Kat saying, sorry, don't have a phone. Kat saying, we were extremely close. She was my best friend. Oh man, I'm still in shock and numb. Hasn't set in yet. Evanora and Amity have mostly been out. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Kat. Again, Kat, you got to just do everything you can to soothe yourself with this loss, because it could potentially stir a lot of things up for you. So, I would definitely recommend, if you're with one of your mental health professionals, talk about the loss, talk about what you're feeling, give yourself space to feel, give yourself space to feel what you're feeling. Make it okay. It's going to hurt for a little while, especially if, you guys were extremely close and she was your best friend. Oh man, I don't know. Was she sick or was it sudden? Really sorry to hear that, Kat, but just talk about how you're feeling. Make it okay that you're grieving, that you're hurting. Okay. We feel for you. Well, please don't just drop out, because then we'll all be worried about you from the live stream. So let us know how things are going. Okay. Let me see here. Juan is saying, laughing my ass off. Good. Thanks for the silliness. Sure. Thanks, Penny. Good points. Jennifer's saying, no, not brutal. I have been well versed in how to communicate. Great. And again, like I said, I wasn't trying to accuse you of anything. But Jennifer, I would, like I said before, I would recommend having, a frank discussion with this person about how it feels to be accused of being just full of psychobabble, and what's up with the what do you mean by I'm gaslighting you? Flush that out. I don't know, probably everybody knows what gaslighting is, but gaslighting was actually coined from a movie, an Alfred Hitchcock movie, about a person who was made to feel like she was going crazy by a person who did a crime, and it's just and now it's in the abuse vernacular that people are gaslighting each other by making people feel that they are crazy for feeling what they're feeling. So Jennifer, what I would recommend to you is, you got to look at, I know it's painful or it's hurtful or whatever, but I would talk about that. I just say, look, I just want to talk, I don't want to fight, but I'm concerned that you feel I'm gaslighting you. What is up with that? And just take notes if you, okay. And just try to empathetically communicate with them. Remember, empathy is not, and you know this, Jennifer, probably, but this is more for people who don't know it. Empathy is not agreeing with the person, saying, oh, you're right and I'm wrong. That's not empathy. Okay, that's agreeing. Empathy is trying to understand the person. So you can, so basic tools in empathetic communication is just repeat back what you heard, what you think you heard. Oh, so you're saying the country would be better if all liberals were just rounded up and shot. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. But so if all liberals were rounded up and shot, then you're saying the country, you would be happier. Find out, or same thing with Republicans. Oh, if all Republicans, find out why they feel this way. Get into the thinking of what's going on, reflect back to them what you think you're hearing, and then process that. So if you want to try to have this communication, Jennifer, with your significant other, find out why they're angry. What is going on? Why do they feel that your honesty is gaslighting? Okay. And then, let me know if you have any follow-up. So, hey, Dennis, how are you? Dennis is saying, negativity in a relationship for me makes me feel resentment and dislike for the person in question. I feel cold-hearted towards the person, even when I know they need me to be there for them. It becomes a block of ice because of their negativity, no emotion, because this is what their negativity has done to me. Well, brother, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing honestly with that. I would recommend that you guys have a discussion about how negativity affects you. I would encourage you to discuss with the person how their negativity is affecting you. And if you've already done that, well, I don't know if you have, so I'll just stay on this track. If you've already talked to the person about how their negativity affects you and they're not doing anything about that, then talk about that. Why don't you seem to care how your negativity is affecting me? Why doesn't it seem to matter to you that you're having a negative effect on me? And then, Dennis, I would ask you to ask yourself, what's going on with you? Why am I reacting this way to their negativity? Is there something in Dennis's past, some sort of trauma? Did Dennis have a lot of negativity growing up? Was Dennis physically or emotionally or psychologically abused, and that caused him to become a block of ice? Where did you learn to react to the negativity? And this is what I was talking about before about how to handle relationship negativity. Is you got to own where it's coming out of from within you. You've got to own, why am I becoming a block of ice? Is this a traumatic trigger? A traumatic trigger is like throwing a firecracker at a war veteran. They collapse and they go into hypervigilance and they're back where they had the trauma. We gotta own where our reactions are coming out of. Like the person I was working with today, I was discussing with them why their partner is so adverse to owning their issues, to identifying that they have a part in the negativity. And if you notice, I'm not identifying whether it's a male or female that I was speaking to today. See? So that's how we're able to talk about things so that we don't make any identifying markers. But even if I did identify it was a male or female, there's no names. But the point is, why is that person unable to identify why they're reacting, why they can't, with a minute the other person calls them out on how their issues are affecting the relationship, why they immediately go into, well, that's not the problem. You're the problem. My issues are because of your issues. If your issues weren't there, I wouldn't have issues. Nonsense. The person was actually blaming the other person for their addiction, saying, if we didn't have negativity in the relationship, I wouldn't have this addiction issue. Huh? Excuse me? My addiction is your fault? Whew. I don't know about that one. So Dennis, yeah, I would definitely, let me see if you followed up with anything here, brother. No. I would definitely go two things. One, talk about how the person's negativity is affecting you, and get into why I become a block of ice when I have to deal with negativity. Where did I learn that? That's conditioning, pure conditioning that you learn that. So Kat's saying she had a massive stroke a week ago. It even hard because I can't travel to the compromise due to my, oh, damn, Kat. So you can't even go to the funeral or go, oh, wow. So I couldn't be there in person. Wow, that's heavy. That's really heavy, Kat. Kat, I definitely highly recommend you make everyone on your team know, you probably have already, but let everyone know that this is going on, and get yourself into a safe spot so you can grieve without it becoming a complete collapse. So I don't know if you have other family members. I know we discussed the family member who sexually offended you, but I don't know if you have any closeness with other family members you could connect with during this. But yeah, Kat, I mean, you're going to feel guilt. You're going to feel isolation. You're going to feel, a large degree of sorrow, knowing that, your mom is your best friend is gone. You're going to have to just do whatever you can to ride out those feelings, feel them, manage them, talk them out, get some support, do other things if you can, sometimes to maybe distract yourself a little bit from them, knowing that they're going to come back in, but you've got to work through them. Maybe some of the altars can help you through them by giving you some support. So I would feel for you, sister. I do. Jennifer's saying it's over. I just don't know what to do with that. If it happens again, LOL, that's what I do. And that's what he considered psychobabble. Okay, I don't quite understand that. It's over. So you're saying that you've pretty much checked out of the relationship, Jennifer? Are you saying it's pretty much over? I just don't know what to do with that if it happens again. Well, I would just talk about that. If that's what I do, and that's what he considered the psychobabble. Well, if it's over, if the relationship's pretty over, then, I guess the next discussion is where do we go from here? Excuse me. How do we end things in an amicably way so that it's not a whole bunch of negativity that we have to deal with for too much longer? I don't know if there are kids involved, but I would, if there's a chance that it's not over, Oh, he left you. Okay. Sorry to hear that. I restart trauma therapy on Thursday. Might pick up EMDR again and try some other method. Tools are getting rusty. Got to sharpen up. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear he left you. I know that's painful. I'm sure that there's a degree of anger there. There's probably a degree of blaming yourself that. So I would, take whatever feedback you feel is something you could look at and work on that. Um, but again, if it was a lot of just abuse like that, it's going to be difficult to take any, garner any knowledge from that. All I would encourage you, Jennifer, is to try to not fall into the idea that, the future, meaning that, I'm always going to be plagued by poor men or faulty relationships. I'm never going to find another relationship. But that's easy to say when you're going through some trauma. So we're sorry that you're going through that, but it's good that you're restarting the trauma therapy on Thursday. Yeah, and I would definitely look into whatever this relationship stirred up for you that could be a problem in another relationship. Angie's saying, I've been feeling mostly nothing lately until I felt like I've maybe offended another person, or maybe I'm not doing a good job doing enough, etc. And then I'm sad and weepy. I try talking to myself, going through a little checklist. When did you eat last? Excellent. What was it you ate? When did you last sleep? How long did you sleep? How well did you sleep? And sometimes just taking care of those things helps to some degree, but mostly I find myself feeling just nothing, and that scares me some. I worry that I worry what I will do to feel. Well, again, Angie, you got to work through some of those emotions that you're afraid to feel, because if you're worried what you need to do to feel, that has sort of that feels to me like there are feelings that you don't want to feel. Because if you're saying, I worry what I will do to feel, I'm guessing that you're thinking some sort of cutting or something to help you remember that you are a feeling individual. Wouldn't suggest going down that road, only because it's going to perpetuate this idea that I need a violent way, or even a semi-violent, cutting ourselves at any level is going to have some violent connotation to it, that somehow you deserve that, or somehow that's the only way you can feel. But I would go back to, I'm not doing a good enough job. I'm never doing enough. Where did I learn that? Where did you learn that you're never doing enough? Remember, you wouldn't have a lot of these issues that you're talking about here if your husband was more open with his emotions and talked about things more and was more engaging with you about how he was feeling. So it's not all your fault. The degradation of the relationship is not all you, Angie. It's not. Your husband has a part in that. Your husband plays a big part in that. So I would, if the relationship, like with Jennifer, is pretty much over, again, I would ask myself, is it over, or is it just hasn't been worked on? But if it's over, and the person you're with is just, devoid of any human emotions when it comes to empathy and love and tenderness, then, hard decisions have to be made. And that hard decision isn't always leaving. That hard decision can be staying, but maintaining your own ability to take care of yourself. And these questions you're asking yourself are good. I would add to that, when's the last time I was nice to myself? When's the last time I said something to myself that was supportive? What's the last nice thing I did for myself? How much optimism do I have for the future? Remember, you guys have heard me talking about this, and I've been working with people on this for, like I said, coming up on 25 years. Your relationship with yourself, how you relate to yourself needs to be worked on. And it's not just, oh, I'm going to love myself, like it's that easy. It's not. If you think the answer to your self-hate is just love yourself more, sure. But that's like saying, well, my answer for getting big muscles is to have big muscles. Okay. How do we get there? It takes work. Okay. It takes work to work on your relationship with yourself. So Angie, let's try to reconnect. Send me some texts and we'll see about re-engaging again and work through some of these feelings. But Angie, the cutting and the hurting yourself to feel, you've been down that road, sister. We need to start feeling these feelings that we're not wanting to feel in a therapeutic environment to start working through them. Okay. Kat is saying, they know they're on standby. Great, because I need to be hospitalized. My sister's aware of everything. Beautiful. Considering my history, I am hoping for the best, but bracing for the worst. Well, okay, hope for the best, brace for the worst, and then hope for the best again. Okay, don't just, those aren't the only two options. Hoping for the best and expecting the worst, and then hope for the best again. I mean, it's a cycle. Almost done, buddy. So we need to be able to bring the optimism back in, Kat. I know that's easy for me to say because I don't have dissociative identity disorder. I don't have the law, the loss you having, having your mom as your best friend must be very nice. It must be a huge loss for you. So I can only imagine what that feels like. So all I can say to you, Kat, is work on that ego strength, work on that hub of the wheel that's Kat, remembering that she can get through this. I can deal with this. It's going to hurt for a little while. Work on the self-talk, okay? Remind yourself that you've already dealt with a lot to get to this point and you haven't given up. Remind yourself, I'm going to get through this. This is not going to kill me. My mother would not want this to kill me. I can handle this. I can get through this. Okay, Kat? And then let us know how everything goes. All right. So just to sum up, again, tonight's topic, how to deal with manage relationship negativity. Number one, expect to argue. Expect the negativity. Have a plan to deal with it. Stop finger pointing. Own your part. Stop being lazy. Work on the compatibility. Okay. If there are issues in the relationship that have just been there since day one and they haven't been worked on, you gotta work on them, people. Okay. Negativity in a relationship is not a sign you should get out of the relationship. You have to look at the intensity of the negativity and whether or not it can be worked through. Okay. Kat saying, I just wanted to let you know if I'm offline for a while. Okay, great, Kat. I appreciate you letting us know. And we're all going to be sending you healing vibes and positive thoughts because you can get through this. Okay, Kat, keep in touch. Don't just go, dark on us. All right. Silent on us. So, all right, people. Well, that's the live stream for tonight. Thank you for joining me live. Please remember, if you've got the will to help a human, check out my fund, helpahuman.org. All the proceeds go to help people who can't afford therapy, who I would love to give my services away. Nothing would make me happier than to never have to send out bills or deal with insurance companies. Nothing would make me happier. But unfortunately, until someone pays for my mortgage, pays me to feed my kid, pays our health insurance every month, we have to charge for our services. And if you can help in any small way, 100% of the proceeds go towards helping somebody who needs treatment. Okay. So remember, I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday. I'll be on again Thursday night. I'm going to have a guest next week talking about how to help kids through the pandemic and ideas for, all this shifting way that we all have to deal with these days. So please tune into that. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, please like and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube. Apparently, you can now subscribe. I didn't know that on Facebook and YouTube. I know you can do it on YouTube. But please, the main thing that I always try to end each live stream on, okay? I would really benefit from your help. And okay. Well, Anna, shoot me a private message, and I'll see. I'm pretty packed up, but shoot me a private message and we'll see what we can do. But the main thing, the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with, that try to remind everybody, please don't just suffer. Please don't convince yourself you're broken for life. Please don't buy into this idea that you can't teach old dog new tricks and you can't, people don't change. And this pain that I felt with my whole life, I always think of that Evanescence song about these wounds will never heal. These wounds will heal, okay? These emotional wounds can heal just like any other wound on your body. You can, but you got to work at it. Don't suffer in silence, be afraid to reach out to a licensed mental health person, okay? Reach out. There are people out there that are trained to help people heal with these psychological and emotional wounds, okay? If you're listening to podcasts, if you're reading books, please make sure those people have some training in psychology and have some license, please. You're not going to take medical advice from people who don't have some sort of background in the field. Same thing. And this mind, this brain is like a friggin' ocean. It's like a universe of connectivity that is, you never know. So please get the help. Don't suffer in silence. All right. Okay, everybody. Did you want to say goodnight? Okay, that's okay. See you guys Thursday night. Please feel free to send me private messages or check out my website. Let me put those up real quick. You can always contact me through, this is my main website. That takes you to my contact info. And then this is my, this forwards to my YouTube page where I have all the videos easy to get to. Okay. All right, guys, take it easy. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for all the questions. And I will see you Thursday night where we'll have another discussion on some interesting mental health topic that we need to be talking about. Okay. Work on your issues. Everyone has issues. Nothing to be ashamed of. See you.